My wife's recently divorced friends persuaded her to stage a fake affair to test me and supposedly make me more devoted. Instead, their plan backfired dramatically when I decided to file for divorce. Sarah and I have been married for 8 years, and while our relationship wasn't flawless, it felt solid. We both have demanding full-time jobs, settled routines, and occasional date nights when we're not exhausted from work. I thought we were in a good place. Not the fiery passion of newlyweds, but the comfortable rhythm of a committed couple who don't need constant displays of affection to feel secure. Unbeknownst to me, Sarah had been confiding in her divorced friends about our marriage. They convinced her I wasn't attentive or romantic enough and that she needed to shake things up to make me value her more. I only learned this after enduring weeks of torment, believing she was unfaithful, while she and her friends orchestrated this cruel scheme, amused by my distress and seemingly resentful that someone might have a stable marriage. It began about 6 weeks ago when Sarah's behavior shifted noticeably. She started staying late at work, coming home with a nervous, yet oddly thrilled demeanor. When I asked about her day, she'd dodge the question or give vague answers. She began dressing more carefully for work, taking extra time to get ready, and wearing perfume, which she'd never done for her job before. Initially, I thought she might be planning something sweet, like a surprise for our upcoming anniversary. But then, late-night texts started buzzing her phone. She'd snatch it up quickly, hide the screen, and dismiss my questions with flustered excuses about work or her sister. One night, she came home close to midnight, claiming she'd been out with friends, but she reeked of men's cologne, and her makeup was smudged. When I pressed her, she mumbled something about a goodbye hug, but avoided my gaze. It was obvious something was off. Smudged lipstick isn't from a casual hug. I became more vigilant, and the red flags kept mounting. She took hushed phone calls, ending them abruptly when I entered the room. She was oddly secretive about laundry, as if hiding certain clothes. She started showering immediately after work, which was new, and kept mentioning a coworker named Jake, how charming he was, how he'd helped her on a project, how he rode a motorcycle and loved hiking. The Jake references hit hard. She'd mention him casually but then backtrack, acting cagey when I asked for details, insisting he was just a colleague. Yet she shared too many personal details about him for that to be true, like his recent divorce or his hobbies. I tried addressing her distance, but she brushed me off, calling me overly suspicious and saying she was just stressed and needed space. The more space I gave, the worse it got, and the signs of betrayal became undeniable. I'm not one to ignore reality. The final straw came 2 weeks ago when she claimed she was dining with her sister, but I ran into her sister at the store, who looked confused and said they had no plans. That confirmed Sarah was lying, likely meeting this Jake guy. That night, I confronted her, asking directly if she was cheating. She broke down, crying, insisting she loved me and would never betray me, but she couldn't explain where she'd been or why she lied about her sister. Evasive answers to simple questions screamed deception. I lay awake all night, replaying every sign, every lie, and her dismissive attitude. I couldn't live in that uncertainty, wondering daily if my wife was faithful. I started researching private investigators to get proof, though I didn't hire one, and looked into divorce lawyers to understand my options, bracing for the possibility of rebuilding my life alone, betrayed by my wife with some adventurous coworker. Then, last Tuesday, everything unraveled in the worst way. Sarah's friend Lisa, drunk and incoherent, called me, gushing about how clever Sarah was for following their advice to make me jealous, saying it was working because I was finally noticing her. Confused, I demanded an explanation, and the truth spilled out. Sarah, along with her divorced friends Lisa, Monica, and Jennifer, had concocted this fake affair scheme over months to make me more attentive. They believed making me fear losing Sarah would reignite my devotion, an utterly warped idea. Lisa revealed they'd fabricated details about Jake, a real co-worker Sarah barely knew, using his social media to craft a believable backstory. They'd coached Sarah to act distant, secretive, and suspicious, laughing at how well their plan was manipulating me into a jealous, attentive husband. I hung up on Lisa and sat stunned for an hour, cycling through relief that Sarah wasn't cheating, confusion at why she'd do this, and then blinding rage. My wife had deliberately tormented me for weeks. When she got home, I told her about Lisa's call. Her face paled, and she sobbed, apologizing, calling it a dumb prank that went too far, promising she'd planned to confess soon. But I was livid. This wasn't a prank. It was emotional cruelty. She tried explaining that her friends convinced her our marriage was stagnant, that I took her for granted, and that this would make me appreciate her. She admitted I'd been more affectionate lately, which only fueled my anger because I'd been trying harder out of fear of losing her. I told her her actions were manipulative and sick, That instead of talking to me, she chose to make me suffer while knowing exactly why I was in pain. The betrayal wasn't just a mistake. It was a calculated effort to mess with my head, and it worked as intended. Sarah watched me spiral, knowing she was the cause, and her friends found it entertaining, likely mocking me behind my back. I told her I needed space, but I couldn't stay in that apartment. I packed my things frantically, renting a storage unit for most of it and taking essentials to my brother's place. There, I wrestled with whether I could ever trust her again. If she could justify this because her friends suggested it, what else might she do? My family and friends thought I was overreacting, urging forgiveness since she didn't actually cheat, but they didn't grasp the agony of those weeks, believing my marriage was crumbling, questioning my worth, and planning a life alone, all while Sarah orchestrated it. The apartment lease, thankfully, was in Sarah's name, simplifying my exit. After 4 days at my brother's, I consulted a divorce lawyer. He said he'd never heard a story like this, but confirmed emotional manipulation was grounds for divorce, showing Sarah's lack of respect for me and our vows. I went home, told Sarah I'd filed, and she broke down, begging me to stay, promising to cut off her friends and do anything to fix things. I told her the issue wasn't just her friends, it was her thinking their plan was acceptable. She rallied our families to pressure me, suggesting counseling, but I refused. I didn't want to salvage a marriage with someone who could manipulate me so callously. Lisa and Monica even called, claiming I was too sensitive, that it was a harmless joke and Sarah wouldn't repeat it. I told them their prank was sadistic, likely driven by their own failed relationships, and they'd probably ruined mine for amusement. Lisa argued Sarah had complained about my lack of romance, and they were just helping her. I countered that Sarah should have communicated, not played mind games. Sarah still doesn't see why her actions were so wrong, focusing on how it was fake, as if that lessens the pain. The emotional toll was identical to a real affair, and her intent made it worse. I've been at my brother's for 2 weeks, with Sarah texting constantly, begging me to talk, offering counseling, but I can't trust she won't test me again if her friends suggest it. Everyone questions throwing away 8 years over one mistake, but this was weeks of deliberate deception, revealing her true character. The divorce papers were served yesterday, and Sarah's sobbing calls haven't swayed me. I know many think I'm harsh, but I can't forgive someone who watched me suffer for weeks, enjoying it, and let it continue until Lisa's drunken slip. I'm not crazy for leaving. This was a betrayal of trust, not a prank. Update 1. I didn't expect such a response to my story. Reading your comments has been both validating and overwhelming. Many asked for more details about Sarah's actions and her friends' roles, so I'll clarify since writing this has helped me process. Sarah's friends: Lisa, divorced after her husband's infidelity; Monica, twice divorced and griping about her new boyfriend; and Jennifer, recently finalized her divorce, meet weekly for wine night, a venting session about men. I used to support Sarah attending, thinking it was harmless, but they'd been bad-mouthing me for months, telling her I was too comfortable and needed a wake-up call. Sarah's actions were worse than I first described. She started exercising more, buying flashy clothes, and when I complimented her, she'd act coy, hinting she was feeling herself, making me think she was dressing up for someone else. She criticized my appearance, my work clothes, haircut, lack of spontaneous dates in ways she never had, making me feel inadequate. Now I know her friends scripted this to unsettle me. The texts and calls were staged. Lisa and Monica sent messages at odd hours, and Sarah would act guilty. They researched Jake's social media for authentic details to weave into conversations. They had a timeline. Phase 1 was acting distant. Phase 2 involved fake texts and late nights. Phase 3 would have been coming home with clear signs of being with someone. Phase 4 was disappearing overnight to make me think she was fully cheating. Thank God Lisa's drunken call stopped it before phases 3 and 4. Sarah admitted they recorded my reactions, laughing at my attempts to save our marriage with flowers and dates. That they treated my pain as entertainment, with Sarah's active participation, is sickening. Looking back, she seemed to relish the control, smirking at my confusion, enjoying my anxiety while feeding her friends updates. They coached her to gaslight me, making me feel paranoid when I questioned her lies, turning my valid concerns into accusations of being controlling. The more I learn, the surer I am of my decision. This wasn't a prank gone wrong. It was deliberate emotional abuse. Sarah's voicemails begged for another chance, promising to ditch her friends, but she chose to continue this daily for 6 weeks. Her sister called me cruel for not talking, but I said what's cruel is causing your spouse's suffering intentionally. The divorce is progressing, and I'm at peace, realizing the Sarah I loved doesn't exist. She's someone who'd torture me for fun. Update 2. Things have gotten crazier since my last update. Sarah, failing to win me back with tears, now claims the fake affair was my fault for neglecting her. In a lengthy text, She said she'd hinted for months about wanting more romance, which I ignored, forcing her to fake an affair to communicate her needs. My lawyer laughed, saying she's digging herself deeper by justifying her actions. Worse, Sarah's telling coworkers and friends I'm divorcing her over playful teasing to spice up our marriage, painting me as jealous and controlling. My friend Dave, who works with her, heard this distorted version and was shocked when I explained the truth, a calculated manipulation, not harmless flirting. I saved Sarah's early voicemails, where she admitted it was a mistake, as proof against her new narrative. Lisa called to downplay their actions, revealing they planned this for 3 months, researching jealousy tactics and documenting my reactions in a group chat called Operation Spark. They were disappointed I didn't confront Sarah sooner, questioning if I cared enough, and Monica even suggested Sarah go on a fake date to push me further. Thankfully, they didn't, fearing I'd hire a PI. Sarah's parents, initially unaware of the full plan, were horrified, but still pushed for reconciliation. Her dad called, saying divorce is extreme, but I told him Sarah's actions were extreme, akin to a stranger tormenting me for fun. The divorce is straightforward. No kids, simple finances, and I'm planning to move across town for a fresh start. I missed the Sarah I thought I knew, but not the one who enjoyed my suffering. If Lisa hadn't slipped, how long would Sarah have let this continue? That she reveled in my pain shows who she truly is. Update 3. I thought I was done, but yesterday brought a new low. Monica asked to meet, claiming she had a confession. Over coffee, she apologized for their mistake, but then claimed Sarah suspected I was cheating, citing my late work hours, new phone password, and gym routine. And the fake affair was to test my loyalty. If I was cheating, I wouldn't care. If faithful, I'd fight for her. I laughed at the absurdity. Sarah never hinted at suspicion, and those red flags were normal life. Work demands, a secure password, doctor's orders. Monica floundered when I pointed out Sarah never raised these concerns during her apologies. I called out her lie, saying it was another attempt to make Sarah the victim. She admitted the plan worked by making me more attentive, suggesting our marriage could have been stronger if I hadn't overreacted. I told her honest communication, not manipulation, strengthens marriages, and walked out, telling her to lose my number. Their audacity, shifting from prank to your fault to testing loyalty, is almost impressive in its depravity. I'm done with their games. Update 4. It's over. After 8 months of relentless drama, the divorce is final. Sarah and her friends kept finding new ways to test my sanity, but I'm free. Sarah oscillated between playing the victim and sending cold legal demands, like fighting over a fondue pot from our wedding. Her parents tried mediating, urging forgiveness because marriage is hard, but I told her dad this wasn't marriage. It was a cruel game. Jennifer, a key planner, showed up at our final mediation with a smug look, as if she'd won something. I refused to engage, letting my lawyer handle it. The process was draining, but I'm relieved. I'm moving to a new neighborhood, ready to rebuild without Sarah or her toxic friends. I don't regret my decision. Freedom from someone who'd orchestrate my pain is worth it. Am I wrong for divorcing over this? Everyone calls me unreasonable, but I know this wasn't a prank. It was a betrayal of trust, and I'm done.